This week's video, healthy self-esteem. This is part 2 in my series on self-esteem. Hi, I'm Steve, your Agony uncle. This channel is all about our mental health, ways to look after it, things to think about. I share with you my life experiences and my journey through anxiety and depression, and hopefully it can give you some tips and tricks to how to deal with yours and to look after yourself and your mental health. But let's get on with today's video. Self-esteem. Last week we asked what is it. This week we're going to talk about healthy self-esteem. I don't like to say high or low self-esteem. I just like to refer to it as healthy or unhealthy. So before we look at what's unhealthy, let's look at what healthy self-esteem is. First of all, we have to value ourselves. We have to say to ourselves that we have a place in this world, we have a place in relationships, whether they be with a spouse or with a social group or even in business, at our work, with our colleagues. We have a role to play, we have a value. We have to be self-aware. We have to be confident in who we are, but always looking ways in which we can improve. We need to be kind. If we're kind to others, others will be kind to us. We need to accept that we are only human and that we will make mistakes. Rarely are these mistakes huge, but sometimes they are big, sometimes they're small. But we have to accept that we do make mistakes, learn to grow from them, not to dwell on them, not to keep looking back and think we could have done things differently. We have to accept, well, we didn't do things differently. We have to learn from it and just get on with it. We actually have to start liking who we are. If that means we have to self-improve to be even better, so be it. We have to understand that throughout the day we have hundreds, thousands, millions of thoughts. Some of them will not be so healthy thoughts, but we can choose which thoughts we dwell on. If we decide to dwell on the negative, on the unhealthy thoughts, that can be damaging. So we need to try and choose to dwell on the positives, dwell on our achievements, dwell on even the little things in life that we've achieved, or even the little things just that day that we've achieved, and just give ourselves a little pat on the back and say, yeah, you did okay then. I'm not saying you couldn't have done better, but you certainly did okay. But let's focus on the healthy self-esteem. We need to accept our opinions matter. And likewise, we need to respect and listen to the opinions of others. If we understand that not everybody's going to have the same point of view as ourselves, and respect that they have differing opinions, rather than say to them that they're wrong, we say to them, yeah, okay, I can listen to your point of view, I can listen to your opinions. I may not agree with them, but we didn't reach this point in our lives at the same time, at the same point. You came from a different direction, and so I accept that your opinions are different to mine. If we can accept that in others, then hopefully others will accept that in us. And we can start accepting that perhaps our opinions could change, are open to change. We could listen to other people's opinions and perhaps our opinions will change. It doesn't mean our opinions are wrong. It just means that we're open to change. We're open to growing. Another really important one is the rating game that we play. If we go and watch a film, or if we read a book, we turn around and say, that was a good film, or that was a horrible film. That was a good book. But that's maybe 2 hours out of your life, or if you're reading a book a few days or a few weeks. But when it comes to our life, we're talking about many years. It's not fair to use the same rating game to our life as we do with books, because our life has so many different facets. Our life has so many different influences. So if we're going to rate our life as good or bad, that's too simplistic. We should break it down and say, I like this about my life. I like this about my achievements. I like this about my relationships. I like the way I interact. Again, if we don't dwell on the things that we could do better, but if we really break down that rating game into much smaller pieces, there's probably, or should be, a lot more positives than negatives. Don't give it just a single figure rating, and don't do that to other people. Understand that, again, they came from a different direction to you. Don't dwell on their mistakes. Don't dwell on their opinions that you don't agree with. If you can be kind and you can value other people, you'll start being kind and value yourself. Perhaps look at yourself and say, I am a kind person and people do value me. I'm polite, I'm courteous, I'm understanding, I'm there for other people. When you understand that about yourself, you can then say, do you know what, I'm really not a bad person, and you can have healthy self-esteem. Because let's face it, if we do dwell on the negatives and we give ourselves unhealthy self-esteem, I believe that then leads on to depression and anxiety. We are constantly self-doubting. We are constantly criticizing ourselves. And that puts us in situations we become more and more uncomfortable with, which I believe then leads to that depression and to that anxiety. So here's just a few examples of healthy self-esteem. If we can understand the healthy side of this, then next time we'll look at how the unhealthy side can start and how we can possibly turn around some of these unhealthy thoughts, traits, feelings that we have. But let's just understand the healthy side first. Remember, as I always say, if you don't take some time to look after yourself, you can't look after anybody else. Thanks for joining me. Until next week, goodbye.